Hi, Taurus risings and Taurus suns. Thanks for joining me for your July horoscope. There's some things going on this month. July is one of the more heated months of 2019 as we have the eclipses and everyone's favorite Mercury retrograde happening. So let's take a look at where the activities are going down for you. Well, tomorrow, July 2nd, we have the new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. So for you, that's kind of occurring in your third whole sign house, which essentially means you're kind of really busy right now, running around. You're trying to answer phone calls, reply to texts, send back long overdue emails. You're super busy trying to just catch up with all the kind of little details of life that are kind of taking up space in your mind right now. And your mind right now is like kind of on crack. It's like really overactive, and you just feel like there's a million things going on. You may be like laying awake at night thinking about everything, which is always fun, one of my pastimes. But that's kind of just where you're at right now. You're in a really mental space. You're like in your mind right now, and in your communication, and sitting with how you speak into your kind of mental world, your ability to exchange information and communicate with people. That is heavily happening right now in your life. So no wonder that you have to kind of answer all these people and try to reach out and communicate, right? So because this is a new moon, right? And new moons bring kind of new stories and new narratives. That's happening in your third whole sign house. So there could be kind of an interest right now in taking a class or learning something new, or kind of getting involved in your neighborhood or your community, getting involved with writing, expressing yourself in some capacity, as this kind of overactive mentality might be a little draining at times. But it's a solar eclipse as well, and solar eclipses are like really, really supercharged new moons. So there's like a really big story happening here. It's not just your average new moon. Yeah, so definitely call up a friend. And you, Taurus rising, you can kind of typically not lean on anybody. You feel like you're good, but you're going to be feeling super, like there's a lot going on. So you may want to like call up your friends and vent a little bit, actually reach out to people and kind of express yourself a little more, because mentally it's just like, oh God, it's just draining. So you need to feel free to reach out to people and kind of express yourself in that way. And because it's a solar eclipse, and the third house has to do with writing and communication and teaching and learning and all this stuff, and really like the more little details of life, you could just be really changing your perspective and trying to get involved with your self-expression on a much deeper level now. There's kind of a new story coming around towards your self-expression. So that's kind of one big thing going on for you. It's not in one of the more emotional places in your chart, luckily. Some of us are kind of going through it with this Cancer Capricorn axis in different places, but it is emotional energy because it's an eclipse. And eclipses bring, big changes, big life events, endings and beginnings, and there's kind of this highly charged energy around them. So things just come and go. You could just have like revelations, especially because this is on like the mental plane for you. It could just be like sharp revelations, or like really important messages that you exchange with people. It could be family because it's Cancer as well. You could just like finally have some kind of breakthrough closure experiences communicating with family, which could be really powerful. But yeah, so then since you're so busy kind of running around dealing with all these little things in life, and you're thinking about like just trying to keep it all together and piece it all together and work with your community and like experience your community in a new way, down the road on July 16th, we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn. And the lunar eclipse is the like emotional counterpart to the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse tends to be a little more action oriented, like event oriented. You may like actually have a physical event happen around the solar eclipse that's like, whoa. And the lunar eclipse is kind of the more emotionally introspective response to the solar eclipse. So that's happening up in your ninth house on July 16th. So, like I said, lunar eclipses are kind of this emotional counterpart. But since it's in your ninth house, that's another really highly mental realm. But instead of being concerned with like texts and calls and emails and writing in your journal, the ninth house is more about abstract knowledge and higher education and spirituality, philosophy, abstract thinking, how we perceive life, how we know life, and our own perceptions. So there could be some pretty emotional awarenesses of your own perceptions going on. I know this is all like kind of very abstract, but this is like where it's happening. There could be you could just like have a highly profound awareness of how your perceptions have got you to this point and what you need to change about what you think you know about yourself. Wow, wordy, right? It's the third, ninth house, so they are wordy places. And since it's like, it's lunar and it's in Capricorn, so it could be kind of like doubtful and concerned with the kind of preconceived notions you've had all your life about yourself and like what you think you know and what you believe about yourself. The ninth house has to do with our belief systems. So you may be going through changes in your belief system. And of course, this involves like religion and stuff, but I'm not really talking about that. I'm kind of talking about what you believe about yourself. So you could have some pretty like emotional moments where you're kind of realizing what you actually believe about yourself and maybe what you can actually change. And what's cool here is that the ninth house is about the big picture of life. And so while you've been kind of piecing all together these little details and expressing yourself, the ninth house is going to come around and give you like a new awareness of like the big picture of life. You're going to start painting this kind of more grandiose vision and dreaming the dream about where you want to be and what you want to, how you want to believe things in life. Whoa, I know, abstract, it's weird, but that's what's up. So kind of just ride the mental wave you're on. It's also very like educationally oriented, publishing oriented, learning, education are like big ones for this axis. So if you're involved in any classes or educational moments, these could be like pretty pivotal times where you make changes in your education or changes in your study, or if you're publishing, you might choose to publish. We'll just have to see what happens. So that's what's going on there. Those are the eclipses. And yeah, so then at the end of the month, we have the new moon in Leo on July 31st. And that's going to happen in your fourth whole sign house. So you're going to have some new stories, not as kind of charged as these eclipse ones, but some new stories kind of around your home and your family and your relationship to home and family. And you know, your kind of emotional roots. You may be kind of getting in touch with your kind of emotions at the end of the month. You may go into hiding towards the end of the month. When the sun enters Leo, that's when you're kind of going to be like, bye, and go underground and go into your little tunnel of self-awareness and kind of go into the basement of your psyche and look around a little bit, clean things out, and see how you're doing at your emotional foundation. But that's really towards the end of the month. Right now, you're really busy in your neighborhood and connecting with people and exchanging messages and trying desperately to just share thoughts and understand your mental space right now. And to help with that, we have Mercury retrograde on July 7th, who, when retrograde in a water sign, tends to be really, it's less, I feel like it's less action-oriented things like the trade is delayed. It's like, it's more emotionally charged. It's more internal. It's more insular. It's more intuitive. It's on like a kind of a different plane. It's like almost a psychic plane, especially in Cancer. It's like very private and it doesn't know how to express itself perfectly. And because it's all about feelings, so, kind of sit with your feelings during this Mercury retrograde as well and kind of just see where they lead. Because you could have some kind of emotional revelations. And for you, again, it will be in that kind of fourth house, third house realm. So it's going to be like family-oriented, family talks, catching up with parents, talking to siblings, especially third house rule siblings as well. There could be, since eclipses are here, there could be like a sibling story that's happening for you, or getting in touch with siblings or sibling events. So pay attention to that. Okay, that's about it. All right, have a great July, and we'll be in touch.